I arrived in Montreal in 1966, and I heard there was a coffee house in the area, and so this was the first place I played in public, such as it was, the Sunday night hoots. And it was John Foley ran the place back in the day, and then this character Chuck Baker took over, and I'd like to embarrass Chuck Baker, but it's impossible. Anyway, early on,
play Drop the Baby.
And so 66 to 70, I was a student at McGill, and that's mostly what I was doing here. And then 1970, I was in this duo with a 6.5 foot tall Bahamian and myself. We called ourselves Contrast. And got offered to do a TV show, CBC. But in order to do the TV show, you had to be in the union. And in order to do the union, you had to have a social insurance number. And I was an American. But the American Refugee Service was right upstairs, and they gave me all the info. And in the day, you could arrive at Dorval Airport, do your interview, and they gave your social insurance card right there. Woo! Times were wonderful when we were kids. I feel sorry for all the millennials these days, because your life is a lot tougher than mine was. Anyway, so I immigrated. We did the TV show, and I looked around and I saw wonderful musicians here, and I noticed that a lot of them, they didn't want to go anywhere. They just wanted to stay in Montreal, because Montreal is a lovely place to be, as I think most folks here would agree. But if you want to make a living performing and you're not Penny Lang, who has already had a track record, it was really hard. So I started touring, and that's where I was going this way and going that way. And one time I arrived back in town in the winter of 1972, and somebody left a message for me, because Chuck Baker put my name at the top of a list of potential bass players. I had never played bass in my life. But it was for Edith Butler, the wonderful Acadian folk singer. This is before she made big hits with Paquetteville and some other things. Anyway, I got to do this tour, 6 weeks in Western Canada. The tour started in the Winnipeg area, Saint-Aubert, Saint-Boniface, and a few others. 14 shows in Saskatchewan. That's why I can tell you, Frankie, there are French-speaking people in Saskatchewan, just not where you are. And a whole bunch of shows in Alberta, all the way up to Falaire, where we did our show. We had to wait for the car bingo to finish. That's where people were in their cars, they're reading out the bingo, and when you got your bingo, you honked your horn. And Edith was savvy enough, not to go against that. Anyway, so we did our show. Anyway, the show wound up in the Western Canada, but I got to be traveling back and forth across Canada, and somewhere on the 4th or 5th week of that tour, I was trying hard, and I was looking for a word, and I suddenly realized, hey, I've been speaking French for the last while without translating. The penny had dropped. So it is possible. I was an adult at the time. You don't have to do it when you're 3. And so I'd like to sing one of the songs that I learned from Edith, and I'd like you to join in the chorus if you can handle it. And if you can't handle it, just mumble the words and don't worry about it. If you can't quite get the melody, can't quite get to the top or the bottom of the tune, that's called harmony. Anyway, this is a song about a guy who's taking his apples to market, and he meets the daughter of an avocado. La fille d'un avocat. Anyway. Yeah, I imagine there's one or two here.
A few avocados.
A few avocados too. Actually, when I first got to sing in the Yellow Door, I figured, well, I won't do Four Strong Winds because everybody else did that. And so I sang songs from Louisiana. Some were in French, and at the time, nobody even knew that there was still French in Louisiana. Anyway, but that's under water under the bridge. Anyway, the chorus goes, I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. I love you, vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. I went to the market, mon petit panier sous mon bras. I went to the market, mon petit panier sous mon bras. And the first girl I met was la fille d'un avocat. I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. I love you, vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. Yes, the first girl I met was la fille d'un avocat. The first girl I met was la fille d'un avocat. She says, what have you got dans ce beau petit panier-là? I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. She says, what have you got dans ce beau petit panier-là? She says, what have you got dans ce beau petit panier-là? I've got some apples, m'en achèteriez-vous pas? I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. I've got some apples, m'en achèteriez-vous pas? I've got some apples, m'en achèteriez-vous pas? Oh, give me 2 dozens, pile bonhomme et paye ça. I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. Oh, give me 2 dozens, pile bonhomme et paye ça. Oh, give me 2 dozens, pile bonhomme et paye ça. Well, I give her 2 dozens, pile bonhomme et paye pas. I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. Well, I give her 2 dozens, pile bonhomme et paye pas. I give her 2 dozens, pile bonhomme et paye pas. Well, such is the business with la fille d'un avocat. I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous m'entendez pas du tout. I love you. Vous m'entendez guère, I love you, vous n'entendez pas du tout.